There is a specific temperature to success. It is cool, controlled, immaculate. When you reach a certain altitude in life, the noise of the world fades away. There are no sirens, no shouting, no chaos, just the hum of climate control and the soft sound of leather soles on marble floors. Julian lived in this silence. He was a man who spoke the language of skylines. He didn't just look at the city, he owned the view. His apartment was a masterpiece of minimalism. Sharp lines, dark wood, vast, empty spaces that cost more than most people earn in a lifetime. Tonight, he stood by the window, watching the rain wash over the city lights. He held a glass of iced water, crystal clear, pure, cold. He had everything. And yet, looking at his reflection in the glass, he saw a man who was waiting for something he couldn't name. Perfection has one enemy, chaos, and chaos had a name. It was Elena. Julian needed her land. It was a simple business equation. Her small historic estate was the only thing standing in the way of his new development project. A tower of glass and steel that would redefine the district. He went to see her personally. He expected a negotiation. He expected numbers. What he found was a garden that refused to be tamed. He stepped out of his car. The air here was different. It smelled of wet earth, pine needles, and jasmine. He found Elena in a greenhouse surrounded by orchids and vines. She wasn't wearing designer clothes. She wore a linen apron covered in green and yellow paint. "You must be the architect," she said, without looking up from her canvas. "And you must be the obstacle," Julian replied, his voice smooth, practiced. She turned to him then. Her eyes were not impressed by his suit. They were amused. "I am not an obstacle, Julian. I am an anchor. There is a difference." He should have left. He should have called his lawyers to handle the eviction. But he didn't. He sat on a simple wooden bench. Elena poured him tea from a ceramic pot. It was jasmine and honey. It was hot, comforting, and utterly simple. "Why won't you sell?" he asked. "I can give you enough money to buy a palace. You could travel the world. You could have luxury." Elena laughed softly. It was a genuine sound, like wind chimes. "Julian," she said, sitting across from him, "look around you. I have light. I have time. I have memories in these walls. What is luxury to you? Is it a golden cage, or is it the freedom to sit still and feel the sun on your face?" For the next few weeks, the billionaire became a regular visitor to the garden. He told himself it was business. He told himself he was wearing her down. But the truth was different. In his penthouse, he was a king, but he was alone. In her garden, he was just a man. They talked about everything except money. They talked about the color of the sky before a storm. They talked about music. They talked about the difference between a house and a home. One evening, a storm trapped them inside the conservatory. The rain hammered against the glass roof, a deafening, beautiful rhythm. The power went out. Julian, a man who controlled billions of dollars of infrastructure, was helpless in the dark. Elena simply lit a candle. The flame flickered, casting warm shadows on her face. "You are afraid of the dark," she observed gently. "I am afraid of not being in control," he admitted. It was the most honest thing he had said in years. "Control is an illusion," she whispered. "We don't own time, Julian. We only borrow it. You spend your life building towers to leave a mark on the world. But the rain will wash it all away eventually. The only things that last are the way we make people feel." He looked at her. In the candlelight, without his expensive watch, without his title, he felt a strange sensation in his chest. It was warmth. He realized he didn't want to build the tower anymore. He wanted to stay in the garden. He wanted to protect this fragile, beautiful chaos. But the world doesn't stop for poetry. Monday morning brought the cold light of reality. The investors were impatient. The contract was ready. If Julian didn't secure the land, his firm would suffer. His reputation, the armor he had worn for 20 years, would crack. He stood in his office, looking down at the city. He held the phone in his hand. He could call it off. He could save the garden. He could choose Elena. But fear is a powerful architect. Julian was addicted to his own success. He was terrified of being ordinary. He convinced himself that he could help her with the money. He could buy her a better garden. He could fix everything with a check. With a shaking hand, he signed the order. Compulsory purchase. Legal force. He didn't have the courage to tell her himself. He let the lawyers do it. 2 years later. The tower was finished. It was a triumph of engineering. Magazines called Julian a visionary. He was richer than ever. He stood in the penthouse of the building that had destroyed the garden. The view was breathtaking. And the silence was absolute. A package arrived for him that morning. There was no return address, but he knew the handwriting. Inside, there was no anger, no hateful letter, just a small canvas painting. It was a painting of him, but not the billionaire in the suit. It was Julian sitting on the wooden bench in the greenhouse, holding a cup of tea, with a small, rare smile on his face. He looked at peace. A note was attached. You built your legacy, Julian. It is tall and strong. But I hope you remember that the most expensive things in life are not the ones you can buy. They are the ones you can lose. Goodbye. Julian walked to the window. He touched the cold glass. He looked at the painting, then at his reflection. He realized then that he was the poorest man in the world. Some castles are made of stone. Others are made of solitude. Be careful what you build.